Today, I want to share with you one of those key areas of mastery that will determine how far you will go in life and will determine whether you'll be effective in whatever it is that you want to do, because it's that important. And I'm talking about the area of relationships. How do you manage relationships? I've found that some of the most successful, if not all the most successful people in the world, have one thing in common. They are able to manage relationships. Many people think that they know how to manage relationships, but the older you go, as you ascend in the cadence of life, you will find that relationships can become very intricate. How do you navigate the different categories and levels of relationships without robbing people of wrongly? Today, we're going to be talking about a very interesting and important topic that I believe firmly that, as a matter of fact, let me backtrack a bit. There are about 6 areas in personal mastery that I instruct people all that in my years of experience, in my years of living on this side of eternity, that, I found that you have to master about 5 or 6 of them. One of the areas, just for your purpose of knowledge, is one of the areas you must be able to master is communication. Is a place of mastery. People think that they can communicate, but you see, communication is actually more complicated, because you see, communication can build up and communication can tear down. Countries go to war because of wrong communication. If you're a student of history, you would have followed about the Second World War. There was an excellent orator who could convince the people that other races were subpar, were inferior, and that led to the Holocaust. And also, if you are a student of history, that remember the Rwandan genocide. It actually started on the airwaves, on radios, because communication is that powerful. So you must be able to master communication. Another thing you must be able to master is your money. You must be able to master how to manage your finance. But I'm not going to go into the rest, because that's not the focus of today. Today, I want to share with you one of those key areas of mastery that will determine how far you will go in life and will determine whether you'll be effective in whatever it is that you want to do, because it's that important. And I'm talking about the area of relationships. How do you manage relationships? I've found that some of the most successful, if not all the most successful people in the world, have one thing in common. They are able to manage relationships. Many people think that they know how to manage relationships, but the older you go, as you ascend in the cadence of life, you will find that relationships can become very intricate. How do you navigate the different categories and levels of relationships without robbing people of wrongly? One of the things you don't want to do in life is getting or rubbing off on people wrongly. I found many people, you rub off on people wrongly because you are not just skilled. You do not understand the nuances. And most of these things are not taught in formal education. Most of these things are left to chance. And I felt that it's important for you, as part of the curriculum for your mentorship program, to share with you some of the different ways by which you actually handle relationships, because there's a law. It's called the theory of 6. The theory of 6 simply says that we all are only 6 people away from one another in the entire world. That we're only 6 people away from another person. So in essence, is that if there is somebody I want to know, somebody very popular, you're actually just six people away from them to be able to get them. For example, if you are a user of LinkedIn, you will find one of the things that LinkedIn does is that when you search somebody's name, they will tell you how many connections away. How many of you have noticed that you are usually not more than 3 connections away from that person? How many have found that out? Because that's the way the world works. That's the way it's designed. So we want to look very critical today at the 3. I'm going to be sharing with you 3 major dimensions of relationships, or you could call them 3 levels, or you could call them 3 categories of relationships. And why am I sharing them with you? Is because you must sustain the capacity to be able to relate effectively and manage those relationships at those 3 different levels. Right? It's the way the world will work. Most times, because you do not understand those 3 levels, you communicate with those 3 levels in the same way, and you will get terrible results. If, for example, you communicate with a child, a 5-year-old, the same way you communicate with a 21-year-old, you are most likely not going to get the desired result, because when you communicate to people, you must realize what level are they on. You must also realize the value. What are the value? What's the benefits? that you get from this kind of relationships at that level. There are values there. And how do you handle it so that you don't rub off on people wrongly, or you just notice that people just don't respond to you? It's because you've communicated in a certain way that it is not suitable. It is not at that level, it's not acceptable, right? And so we're going to be looking at those three levels. I'm going to run through them pretty quickly. It's going to be a short period. And I'm going to hopefully I can open up time for questions and answers, and we can get that feedback from you, right? So, but these are the three levels. The first category of people that your level of relationships you would have encountered in life are people that I call the elders. Now, let me say this quickly, quoting Isaac Newton. He said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants." Isaac Newton, Sir Isaac Newton, very popular inventor, very popular man in history. He said that one of the factors that has made him, such a great mind is because he has sat on the shoulder of elders. And when I use the word elders, I'm not using it in the chronological sense, in the chronological age sense. Which means I'm not saying that it is only those who are a certain age category become elders. While that is true, when you come to a particular sphere of knowledge or a sphere of dealing, anybody who has known more than you, who has gone ahead of you, who have developed a track record you do not have, who have obtained sufficient level of results, verifiable results, people who have failed consistently in that area, give me a second here. Yeah, people who have failed in that area consistently, and by the use of their failure have developed the capacity to know what works and what will not work. Those are the people that we call elders. Somebody can be an elder and you are older than them, which means in that sphere of knowledge, in that sphere of influence you are trying to get into, they may be younger than you by age, but you see, by the reason of their track record, by the reason of their experience, by the reason of their knowledge base, by the reason of the results that their lives have been able to produce, they are actually elders. And these people could include your parents. Elder people in the relationship, in the elder relationship category could include your mentors. These are your teachers. These are your managers. So you're in the mentorship program right now. Your mentor is an elder, because you see, these are people that, have gone ahead of you. And I've seen people miss out on the values that this category of people, because they just measure them based on chronological age. I remember several years back, I was speaking with my boss. This was over 10 years ago. And she was explaining to me that in an organization, big organization she was working back in the day, there was a mentorship program. And the person that mentored her was far younger, far junior, but was mentoring her in a place of, I think it was, this person got angry easily, and they had to match her to somebody who doesn't. And this was her mentor. So in terms of that emotional intelligence, that ability to manage your emotion, this younger subordinate is the elder. So an elder is that person around you, either a mentor, your manager, your parents, your tutors, your instructors, or people around you that have way more experience. They are a repository of knowledge because their life has produced results. They have tried multiple things. They have failed at it, because you see, failure is one of the strongest teachers. By failure gives you a feedback that something is not going to work that way. I've forgotten the name of the popular inventor who was quoted, or who is recorded in history to have tried hundreds and hundreds of times. And he was asked, how did he succeed? He said, because I tried hundreds of times and I know what will not work. Right? So these are your elders. So what are the benefits when you find yourself interacting with somebody who is considered an elder, somebody who is considered, a mentor, somebody who has more track record than you, somebody who has achieved what you are planning to achieve? Right, is that you have access to proven knowledge. Many people have knowledge, but that knowledge has not been tested. So you can meet somebody and the person can have read many motivational books, he has read many biographies, and he can talk, but you see, that knowledge he's telling you has not been tested. So he doesn't really know he doesn't know what works and what doesn't work. He just knows it's a principle, but that principle has not been tested. Do you know that there are certain knowledge somebody can hold, but that knowledge is context dependent, which means they are not universal law. They are territorial laws. They are laws that only apply in certain industry, but there are also laws and principles that are universal. So an elder is somebody that has what we call proven knowledge. He has domain knowledge. He or she has tested it. He knows what works. When you have those relationships in your life, one of the things that you will enjoy is the advantage of speed. It is often said that experience is the best teacher, but I do not necessarily agree with that position, because there are certain experiences you don't need to have in life, because somebody who is an elder, somebody who has gone ahead of you, somebody who is a mentor, has done it and has told you, that, listen, it's not going to work. I've tried it, it's not going to work. You get also what we call inspiration. You have the other lady earlier on in the mentorship program sharing that just sitting down with somebody who is a mentor, who is an elder, right, opened a mind to possibilities. I remember one of our previous mentees, who is now a mentor himself, was trying to do a particular exam and said, I didn't have money. But met a mentor who said, you know what, I can give you access to this thing for free. For free, that's it. In the corporate world, this category of people, we also call them sponsors. So there's a difference between a mentor and there's a difference between a sponsor. You see, a sponsor is somebody who advocates for you when you are not there. So when decision making about your career, decision making about your life, your applications are going to be made, there must be somebody that is able to speak for you. The category of people are those who we call what? We call them elders. These are people that can have a voice. Listen, they have credibility. Their name carries weight. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are applying for jobs, and I learned this by experience myself, several years ago, I was applying not for a job, it was for a particular internship program with a very, very high level senior government organization, very high level, very, very high. In fact, for you to be able to work in that place, there's a security clearance that you need. And I was applying. With benefit of hindsight, I feel that one of the reasons I didn't get to the final cut was the people that referred me, that I put as my references. Because you see, let me give you an example. When a supervisor is your reference, is different from when a managing director is your reference. So you have to know this. They provide a voice. There is a weight. Listen, their names. It's like saying that today, give me a random name. I put on my reference, I'm applying for a job, and I say, who is my reference? And I say my reference is the former vice president of Nigeria. Or, I say it's Professor Yemi Osinbajo is my reference. Listen, there is certain doors that your qualification will not open, but the name of that reference will open for you. That is the value of elders. That is the value of people who have weights. And so in your life, you must have those people. And while you may not have access to people like a vice president or people like, let's say, a minister or people like an MD, you must manage and cultivate relationship. Because listen to me, somebody who is a manager today is going to become an executive director tomorrow. So if you've honored him, you've respected him, though today is just a supervisor, he has seen your life progress. I remember years back, not even years back, was earlier this year, one of my proteges reached out and said, can you be my reference? And I said, well, you know that when somebody refers you, what they are doing, what your reference is doing, is that it's putting his credibility on the line for you. Because many people, I've seen them trivialize, I've seen them, take for granted when people is their reference. They go to that organization and they mess it up. What you are doing is that you are rubbishing the credibility of the person who referred you. So long story short, the organization called me and asked me a very interesting question and said, can I hire this person? And I said, without backing an idea, I can hire the person. That I've watched this person's growth in the last 10 years to where she is currently. And I know that she's going to deliver. Of course, she got the job. What am I saying in essence is that is part of the value. You get guidance. It saves you time. It saves you time. I remember years back, I was trying to do something. I spoke with my mentor and he said, listen, have you considered ABC? To be honest, I've never considered it. I've never considered that. I was like, why didn't I think of this? That is the value of having elders. That is the value of mentorship. That is the value of sponsorship. So sometimes I was trying to get a particular opportunity and somebody was my reference, was actually in the room when and she told me, she said, I was at that meeting when your name was being mentioned. He said, they want you. They're going to take you. And I got the opportunity. So what am I saying in essence is that is the value of having elders. Some people don't have regard for it. There's a generation that is imaginary who have no regard for elders, who have no regard for references, who have no regard for sponsors. There's a generation who like to use. You don't want to say you use people. You only use them as a means to an end. You are not invested in that relationship. How do you relate with elders? You respect them. There was somebody who was trying to get into a program. Like I told you, an elder is not only by age. This mentor by age was, I think, either the same age mate or younger than this applicant. And when they said, okay, can you join this person? The person wasn't happy. He said, no, I wanted somebody, this person. Or not to now, today, that person is a professor in a solid university in England. And this person is trying to do study abroad. So, like I told you, you have to honor and respect that relationship. Honor it, respect it. There's a generation who now who trivialize and disrespect the track record of people. Listen, it doesn't mean elders and relationships at that higher level are always right. No. It is the principle of disagreeing but not rebuking. I don't rebuke elders. Not only by reason of my training, not only by reason of my exposure and experience in life, but also by reason of my culture and my faith. We don't rebuke elders. What we do is we may disagree with an elder, but by the reason of their track record, I personally, I don't rebuke elders, right? Because it's not my place to rebuke elders. I may disagree. I may walk away from that relationship if it's becoming toxic and not beneficial, but I don't rebuke elders. So we honor them. And when you are with elders, people who know more than you, what you do is you ask questions because they don't have all the time. Always learn to ask good questions. And people always ask, what is the secret of your success? The reason is a secret they are not going to tell you is because in the first place, you call it a secret. So why should I tell you what's supposed to be a secret? When I meet with people who have a track record, who have achieved what I'm trying to achieve, I ask their stories of their failure. I ask them. You know, I was privileged years back to sit with Deputy Minister in Canada, and I was asking him, I said, what did he know at my age what does he know now that he wished he knew at my age? And he looked at me and he smiled. Because that's the value of quality questions. You ask intelligent questions. What did they know that got them there? What were the mistakes that they avoided? What were the mistakes that they made? How did they handle setbacks? See, when you begin to get into that realm, usually they will open up to you and they'll begin to share, right? That don't go through that journey. It's longer. There's actually a shortcut. You have the lady, she said she didn't know that she could just go directly as a finance person, she could go directly and get her PhD, even without a master's. It's possible. That is the value of understanding how to ask the right question and spend a lot of time. Let's move on here. That is the first category of relationships, elders. The second category of relationships are the people I call your comrades. Yeah, they're your comrades. Who are this kind of category of people? You see, the same way I say it's important to have elders, I've also seen people who only focus and chase, the mentors, the big names and what have you, and they don't have time to access and they become bitter, they become, unhappy. I saw somebody online the other day who was complaining that, forget about chasing mentors and whatever. And he was speaking from a place of bitterness. He was communicating from a place of pain because he had tried to reach out, but he didn't get a good response. So the second category of relationships that you have to pay attention to, I call them your comrades. And there's an African proverb, as a matter of fact, it's a proverb from a part of Nigeria, which says that, one fortunate person in the midst of several unfortunate friends is no different from them. I'll take that again. An unfortunate person in the midst of several unfortunate friends is no better than those unfortunate people, which simply means, okay, somebody who understands my local dialects is already understanding it, right? Is that you have to be deliberate and you have to deliberately curate who are your friends. And when I mean your friends, I mean those relationships. Now, people are close to you at different levels, at different proximity. So they may be your comrades, but you may not be that close. But you have to be very careful. I've heard of people land in jail just by cause of association. I've heard a story of a young man who got killed because he didn't know his roommates were cultists. And when the other gang came to attack, they killed him because they met him in the room of a rival gang. So you see why it's very important for you to be very strategic and deliberate. Your comrades are your peers. They are your colleagues at work, literally the same level. They are your siblings. They are people that in terms of age, maybe probably not too far, +2 or -2 from you. And it's important for you to focus on these people. Do you know why? The reason is because these are the people that know you. These are the people that you have the opportunity to vet. Because the higher you go in life, one of the things you find is that people have agendas. I'm not joking. The higher you go in life, people that come around with you, the majority have agendas. They have their interests. It's about interests. People are not at that level close to you because of you primarily. In fact, the majority of people, as you go out and achieve success in life, the majority of people that you find around you are not around you because of you, of the idea of you. They are around you because of what is in it for them. They are around you because of what they can get from you. right? So at the peer level, at the comrade level, you are looking for relationships that are close to you and you are investing in them. You know, there are people that you are free with. There are people that you can share your struggle with. You know, the other day, earlier today, you know, one of your co-mentees was asking, give us details. Because you see, one of the value of having your peer in your corner is that you get easy access to information, right? Nobody is forming. There's no forming. Like, you're my guy, you know, you're my friend. You can easily access them. You can get knowledge from them. You get support from them. You get reference from them. And guess what? You have easier access. At the elder level, access is a bit difficult, but at the comrade level, access is a bit more easy because you are at their level. One of the things I've also discovered is that most people don't invest in their friends. You don't show up. You don't show up and you look at them. You know, one of the errors you can make, one of the biggest error you can make in life is to judge a person based on their circumstance. Never judge a person based on their circumstance. You must develop an ability to see people for their purpose. You must be able to see people for who they are at the end, not who they are based on their circumstance. The young man that you are seeing today who has only one pair of pants, who has, you know, little to no resource, who lives in a one-room apartment, is tomorrow going to be a major person in life. So if you don't identify with me when I'm not up there, how when you now come because maybe you now need something, you become an opportunist. And that's why sometimes some of you notice that your friend they won't just pick your call because they know that now that they have money, that's when you're showing up. Don't show up for people when they have made it in life. Right? Manage your friends, invest in your friends, because tomorrow they are the executive director. In prior sessions, when I taught this course or this subject, I've shared a picture of 3 friends. It's an old picture and I shared the new one. And the old one was one of them, they all went to the same secondary school, high school. But in the new picture, one of them was Nigeria's ambassador to Canada. The other one had become a vice president. The other one had become the head of Nigeria's Internal Revenue Service. But it's a before and after. They were friends in high school and they remained that same friend when they moved ahead. So for me, let me tell you, I grow with my friends, except a friend who doesn't want to move ahead. We'll still be friends, but we won't move together that fast. I grow with my friends. When opportunities are open, I think of my friend. I look for people. If I look, you know, we throw it open and it's not available. If there's an opportunity I can't do, I point it to my friend, right? I show up for them. When my friend is doing an exhibition, I show up without being invited. I don't need to be invited. I show up. I call them. How can I do? What can I support? How can I be part of you? When they are struggling, I go through that process of pain with them. When I'm setting up a new organization or there's a new business venture, a new idea, I call them. Guy, I think you can do this thing. But some of you don't do that. You're only looking for the big man and the big woman, but you ignore your own friends. You ignore your peer. People that when you call them, you know, there are certain nicknames. If I do a test and I say there are certain nicknames that if you hear it, you know it's only somebody that went to high school with you. You know, I have friends of 20 years and we are still close, as in we become brothers. We've wept together, we've been harassed together, we've been, just name it. And we've literally seen our dreams come together. I remember back in the day, some people that are closest to me, when we were much younger, we didn't have anything. When we were just older teenagers or young adults, we didn't have anything, but we had dreams. I remember one of them, we'll meet at Mr. Biggs back in the day, and we'll just sit down, they say, what can we order? I say, you give us a bottle of water and one sausage. Then we'll share the sausage. This friend of mine, today is we travel different parts of the world. He's doing well in his business. So by the grace of God, I'm doing well in what God has called me to do. And we meet, we talk, and we said the reality of today were our dreams. And Mr. Biggs, in the day, we'll just buy one sausage and we just share dreams. I remember when we wanted to apply to Chevron, right? We both sat down in my living room and we just wrote the application. He got the Chevron job. I didn't get the Chevron job, but another opportunity opened for me in the bank. And today, so what point am I bringing to you is that don't ignore your friends. Celebrate with them. Show up with them. Invest in them. Right? Don't be a user. And it doesn't mean all of them have to be close with you. No. But there has to be some friends that you are growing together. And how do you relate with these people? Respect them. Drink together. Work together. Show up for them. Stay in touch. Stay in touch. Don't be petty. He didn't wish me happy birthday. He didn't greet me. He didn't say that my shirt was nice. He didn't say I carried a new bag. He means he's a hater. No, no, no. Listen, people have stuff going on in their lives. Don't be a petty friend. Don't be difficult to be around. Have you noticed that there are certain relationships it's difficult for you to be there? When you are there, you are literally second guessing yourself. Be deliberate about this level. These are your comrades, right? And start. For those of you still in high school, those of you in the university, those of you just pushing your career, start from there. Sit down and do a list and curate your friend and say, okay, these are relationships that I want to invest in. Let me tell you, relationship, there is no good relationship that happens on autopilot. Relationships, quality relationships happen because people are intentional, people are deliberate, and people invest. And as you grow older in life, you begin to see some relationships will fall by the way because it's no longer beneficial, it's toxic. Right? So you manage that relationship well, support them, cheer them. Don't be a difficult person. You know, some people enjoy being difficult. Don't be a difficult friend. Right? If your friend has an issue with you, walk up to them, manage that relationship well, be open, be reliable. One of the sessions I took in, maybe I'll look for the video. I think the video is online. There are 5 things that if you're going to be indispensable in life, in career, one of them is reliability. Have you seen friends that the most unreliable? See, don't be an unreliable friend. Be someone that when your friend calls you, they know you will show up. You will be there. I remember years back, one of the people, I'll keep that story for another time, right? Because it's a bit sensitive, right? You show up, you are reliable. Be reliable to your friends. Support them. Are we together? So the second level of people you want to manage, because tomorrow, guess who's going to be the CEO? They are your friends. Hopefully your friends are reliable people. Your friends are not, unfortunate. They're not making wrong choices in life. And sometimes you could have an old friend that you literally grew up about. When you evaluated this person's quality, if you can refresh that relationship, call them up and sit down with them over a cup of coffee and talk, right? And be committed. Okay? Let's go to relationship category number 3. You see this one, most people don't realize it. And unfortunately for them, the reason they don't realize this third level of relationship I want to talk about is because they are not forward-thinking people, number one. They are not people who see beyond the now, and they are not people who understand how life works. This third category I'm talking about, or this third level, I call them, they are your mentees or proteges. They are people who, in terms of life or achievement, they are lower than you. It was Warren Buffett who said that someone sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree long ago. I'll take that again. Warren Buffett, one of the most world-renowned investors, billionaires of our time, said someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree long time ago. Your mentees are people, or proteges are people who they may be younger than you. As a matter of fact, they may not have, most times they don't have resources. That's the truth. All they have is a dream. They don't have anything to literally give to you. But you see, they are people that are some of them are even your younger siblings. I've seen people who invest more in outsiders than their younger siblings. In a functional, and I know some families have dysfunctional and the relationships they are toxic, but in a functioning family, charity should start from home. I don't invest. I have a younger sister. I don't invest in her less than I invest in outsiders. Are you getting my point? So you must realize that your younger siblings are also part of this category. Your subordinates at work. There's an organization I once heard of back in my day in consulting. Do you know what that organization does? When there's a new role for a manager role, they throw it. It's called open recruiting. Everybody in the organization, whether you are a junior, you are a senior, you are allowed to apply. And we have heard of cases whereby 5 junior employees take up that role and they become their former boss's boss. So what happens? So one of the things they try to do with that culture is to make people treat everybody right, because you don't know who can be your boss tomorrow. You don't know. Maybe we should try it one day. So what am I saying in essence? They are younger siblings. They are subordinates at work. Usually they don't have much resource. As a matter of fact, they are people who you call diamonds in the rough. It takes a perceptive mind and somebody who have foresight. You know, there are different levels of sight. There's hindsight, there's foresight, and there's insight. You require insight and foresight to be able to relate very well with these people, because you must be able to see them beyond their now. Many people like to farms, to use a social lingo Gen Z speak, like to farms popular people when they make a name for themselves, but you ignore them when they were nothing. And that's an error that happens irrespective of age, irrespective of culture. People are attracted to success. I said that there are three sides that people you have. There's what's called hindsight, there's what is called insight, and there's what is called foresight. Foresight sees ahead, insight will see deeper and not only ahead. Hindsight, you can reflect and see, this happened, this shouldn't have happened. You're a reflective person, right? So you need the ability to have foresight and insight to be able to see ahead and see deeper beyond the surface. When you relate with these people, you need insights. You need to be able to see beyond their now. You need foresight to see, what will this person look like if he got the right investment? I always say to people, every president or head of state you see today was once a child playing with toys. Yes. Every head of state, every billionaire you see today was once a child playing with what? Toys. So it took somebody to see beyond the now. So when you relate to these people, they may not have much resources, but you see, usually they have hidden wisdom. I found out in my interaction with young people, right, over the years. And again, the mentorship program is a very, LCS mentorship program is a very, very classic example. And also our career and stewardship bootcamp, which by the way is happening in August 21 to 22nd. If you have a teenager aged 13 to 20, make sure they sign up for it. We are going to be hosting 100 teenagers 13 to 20 or young adults for 2 days of training at no cost to them, but they have to register. Anyways, see me later for those details, right? So is that we invest in them. We are not looking at their today. In fact, one of the most rewarding things I've had to see as president of LCA is I've seen people that come to LCA, join us when they were young teenagers, maybe 15, 16, and I've seen them go to university. I've seen them become volunteers. As a matter of fact, I've seen one of them also become like a mentor. What I'm saying in essence is that it takes foresight, the long-term game, right? They give fresh perspective. When I jokingly say that I self-identify as a Gen Z. So many people do not agree with me, but that is your problem. I self-identify as a Gen Z. Right. And let me use Gen Z speak, and that's on period. Okay. So that's on period. So I self-identify as a Gen Z, right? Is that when I listen to them, you'll be shocked at the insight that they give you. Right. I pay attention to the Gen Zs. I pay attention to them. Yeah, they have their challenges like every other generation. They have their shortcomings, which I feel they can do better on. But one thing I give to them is that they have insight. They can see, they have ideas. Younger people, your proteges, your mentees, they have ideas. So, and that's why there's a concept called reverse mentoring, whereby the mentee actually mentors the mentor. So I always like to do reverse mentoring, and I like to hear from my mentees. What do you think? Are we doing this well? What can we do? What adjustments should we make? And we're open to that feedback. They have energy. Younger people, they have energy. They may not have resources, but they have energy. They have drive. One of our most fantastic volunteers, they are young people. They know what to do. They can mobilize. They are fierce advocates. One of the things I love about Gen Z is that when they are loyal to you, they are loyal. One of the things I love about Gen Z, the younger generation, is that if you do well, they will tell the whole world. God help you if you don't. They will also do what? They will tell the whole world. If they have a good experience with your program, one of our former mentees, I don't think she's in this spot, I think it was the last cohort, she's a Gen Z. She's based in Ghana. And guess what? As we were having one of the programs, she was just live tweeting on Facebook. She was just live chatting on Facebook. And in this program, she was sharing her notes. Oh, she first said she first cooked rice. When she finished the rice, she put her rice and she was listening to the program. We saw everything on Facebook. That is the younger generation for you. That is Gen Z for you. If you do well, if you impress them, if they're happy with you, they will tell the people. If you don't, be rest assured, you will see your name online. They call it dragging. I don't drag people. I don't believe in dragging, but that is what they do. Okay, they are fierce advocates, right? I don't drag people because I don't like to pull people down. No matter even when they do wrong, I don't believe in pulling people down. That is me. I don't believe, because I feel that I don't sow what I don't want to reap, right? I don't sow what I don't want to reap. So I don't pull people down. I may disagree with you, but I'll walk away. I won't come up to the public and tarnish. I try as much as possible not to do that. I don't even do it. I don't like it. Okay. So They have an opportunity to give back. How do you relate with them? Respect them. There's a perspective, wrong perspective, that believe that you can disrespect young people because they need you. No, 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 no. One of our core values in us is respect, right? No matter who you are, if you communicate disrespect, we distance ourselves from you, right? We respect people. When you meet young people, respect them. They are deserving of that respect. They may not have it today. They may not have it all together today, but respect them, assist them. You see, sometimes you feel that you need to have tons of funds, tons of money to give to people, but sometimes just telling somebody that I believe in you, I watch what you are doing, I believe in what you are doing, and I know you will succeed. You have no idea how much joy it brings to people's hearts. How many of us on this call are watching this video? I've heard people just call you out of the blues just to let you know that I like you, I respect what you are doing. I thank you for the idea of you and what have you. There's a way it makes you feel when somebody believes in you. And sometimes it may just be $5 you have, maybe 5,000 naira. Give them. To you it may be small, but you have no idea what that does. So I was thinking of you. What are you doing now? I don't have credit. Okay, I'll put credit in your phone. Airtime. I just buy an airtime of maybe 500 naira. Invest in them. I was hearing the story of somebody that later on went in Nigeria. Now he has a very big company in Nigeria. He's won global awards. He's spoken in Buckingham Palace. He's been featured on CNN, name it. He said when he was to start that company, he mentioned the name of his friend, and I know that friend. He said, when I wanted to go for that training, he said it was this my friend I called. He was the one who borrowed me the money. He said he gave me the money. Today is now a big company, right? So he has invested. Okay, mentor them. I was speaking with one of your colleagues, the mentees, and I told her that the way we structured our mentorship program is that our aim is that our mentees become mentors. Currently, we have about 3 mentors on this program who were formerly mentees, 3 or 4, I think so. Yeah, mentees also become mentors. We have a program coming up in CAS. We have CAS Bootcamp coming up. Some of the people coming to volunteer were former participants. They've enjoyed it, then they also come to volunteer, right? Guide them, invest in them, correct them. You can correct people. Listen, don't be a psychopath. And if it's done wrong, tell them in a respectful way. I think you did what was wrong here. This is what I believe. And some of them walk away, and it's fine. Affirm them. Look at their purpose beyond their circumstance. So that is the third category. Remember the first category. So let's wrap this up, right? What then should you do next? Start from what you have. If there's a elder that you have around you that you've not paid attention to, and it doesn't have to be many, just don't go around, don't dissipate your energy, be focused, be strategic, be deliberate, right? Go back to those relationships if it's beautiful. You can try to mend it if you can. Some you can't mend it again. Some you can. It's fine. You've also learned. That's experience. Okay, start from what you have. Be intentional. Weeds only grew on uncultivated ground. Weeds only grew on uncultivated ground. Be intentional. Invest in those relationships. Be committed. And I'm not saying it has to be every day. Oh no, he's going to go and buy noodles. Then he has to tell me, no. That's something else, right? But invest in those relationships, right? Be matured in your relationships. Show commitment. Invest in them, and show integrity. Build a track record. There are certain of my friends that I know that I can go to the bank with their name. I just mentioned their name. I know they will get it done. There are people I know that if you call them, they will show up. If they don't show up, and they are very close friends of mine too, that I know that is just not their area of strength. So I have tried to accept them. Sometimes friendship, you deal with people, their weakness. So it's only their strengths that you like. You carry their weaknesses as well. So you know their weaknesses, right? So start from what you have, intentional, show commitment, that is investing, and show integrity, build a track record with your friends. Let's recap again. We said there are 3 levels of relationship that you understand in life. I call them, first one, your elders. Those are people not only by age, but people who have achieved what you do not been able to achieve. Your mentors, your managers, your parents, your elder ones. They have a track record. They have their credibility. You get speed from them. You get knowledge from them. You respect and you honor them. You don't waste their time. They are people of few time. They don't have so much time to spare. So when you have that time, ask good questions, make the best. The second level of relationships are those we call the comrades. These are your peers. Don't ignore them, because your colleague today, your roommate in university today is going to become an executive director tomorrow. Invest in those relationships. Show up for them, respect them. Then we talked about the third level of relationship, which is your mentees or your proteges. And we say that level, you must be able to see beyond their now. Don't look at their circumstance, look at their purpose, because they have energy. They may not have resources, financial, but they have commitment. Usually they are loyal. They are respect them as well, invest in them, mentor them, support them, right? Don't identify with them when they are great. Identify with them when they are still diamonds in the rough and help polish their diamonds so that it can become a shining star. I hope that has been helpful. Happy to take your comments or questions.